Ding dong! The melodic chime of the doorbell echoed through the interior of the ship. Commander Thrak looked up from the report he was reading, his large black eyes swiveling in surprise. There hadn't been a single visitor to the main warship since they arrived at this planet. So who could possibly be at the door? Setting down his datapad, Thrak unfurled his long serpentine body from his chair. His 7 suction-cupped legs rippled in a wave-like motion, propelling him across the sleek metal floor. As a top commander in the Zedian Planetary Expedition Fleet, Thrak enjoyed lavish living quarters befitting his rank. The walls, floor, and ceiling were all composed of the same polished chrome, with various control panels and view screens spaced at regular intervals. Thrak's movements stirred the air, ruffling the dozens of badges and medals adorning his uniform. Another chime rang out, louder this time. Thrak increased his pace. It would not do to keep a guest waiting too long, even if he had no idea who it could possibly be. Protocol must be observed. Arriving at the entryway, Thrak extended one spindly arm to activate the viewport. The transparent pane slid open, revealing the visitor standing outside. Thrak's large fish-like eyes registered it was one of the bipedal native species. What were they called again? Ah yes, a human. Thrak gazed down at the human, intrigued. He had seen video footage of the creatures, of course, while studying this newly discovered planet from high orbit. But this was his first time encountering one in the flesh. The human was relatively small, its head just barely reaching the midpoint of Thrak's chest. Tufts of dark hair sprouted from its head and face, while its skin was a pinkish-beige color. It stood on 2 slender legs, balancing precariously. Such fragile, impractical bodies these humans have, Thrak mused. The human was garbed in simple woven fabrics of various hues. It clutched a flat white object in its hands. When it spoke, its voice was high-pitched and rapid, its language strange and guttural. Thrak listened closely to decode the meaning. "Greetings, Commander Thrak," the human said, holding out the white object. "I have been sent to deliver this message to you from my people." Ah, that made sense. Their linguists must have intercepted and translated Zetian communications. An envoy delivering a message was customary protocol for first contact after observation. Thrak reached out his lengthy arm and carefully took the object between 2 tentacled fingers. It was thin and floppy, made of pressed plant fibers. "You have my thanks, human," Thrak replied in a slow, watery voice. "Your purpose has been fulfilled. You may depart in peace." The human nodded and turned away, its footsteps echoing down the gangway, leading back to the planet's surface. Thrak watched it go for a moment before closing the door. He was impressed the human had managed to find and board his ship just to deliver this message. They were clearly an intelligent and determined species. Carrying the strange object over to his desk, Thrak used one razor-sharp finger to slit it open. He removed a single sheet of material covered in intricate symbols and markings. It was a letter, he realized, written in the human's language. He slotted the sheet into his translation device, which whirred and clicked for several moments before spitting out a version in Thrak's native tongue. Eagerly, he began to read the flowing script. "Dear alien friends, welcome to our planet which we call Earth. We hope you have found your visit here enlightening and educational so far as you observe and learn about our people from orbit. We understand that first contact can often be confusing and full of misunderstandings between civilizations. Therefore, we wish to make our intentions clear from the start. We come in peace and friendship. While we humans may appear small, weak, and unevolved compared to your advanced interstellar culture, do not underestimate us. Our strength comes not from brute force, weaponry, or physical prowess, but from our unshakable spirit of cooperation, limitless imagination, and thirst for knowledge. We have already accomplished so much in our short time, exploring the deepest oceans, taming the wildest lands, even venturing out into space. Our greatest achievements are not in conquest and domination, but in sciences, arts, music, and culture. We have built astonishing civilizations full of diverse races and creeds who work together seeking new discoveries. Now, as you have traveled from afar to study our kind, we invite you to do so with open hearts and minds. We believe you will find humanity possesses surprising depth, creativity, and potential, beyond what your previous observations may have indicated. Should you need any assistance during your visit, please do not hesitate to ask. We are excited to establish peaceful bonds of fellowship between our two peoples and civilizations. This could mark the beginning of a great friendship between our races. We await your response. Be well, friends. Sincerely, the humans of planet Earth. Thrax slowly lowered the letter, gazed distant in contemplation. This changed everything. Perhaps the humans were not merely primitive subjects to study, but equals worthy of respect. Clearly, there was far more to them than the fleet had realized. Over the next several lunar cycles, Thrak found he could not stop pondering the cryptic letter from the humans. He had shared it with his fellow Zetian commanders, hoping they would also recognize the depths it hinted at within humanity. Instead, they dismissed the elaborate message as exaggeration and fiction designed to deceive gullible aliens like Thrak. That letter is clearly just propaganda, meant to make the humans seem more advanced than they truly are, scoffed Commander Kislet, his beaked face twisted in a sneer. Do not let their flowery words beguile you, Thrak. These humans are barely better than beasts. The others murmured in agreement, but Thrak remained unconvinced. He continued analyzing the footage they had gathered so far of human civilization. Their forms of architecture, transportation, fashion, and art were so foreign compared to Zadian styles, yet revealed remarkable ingenuity given the planet's resource limitations. Humans also displayed intriguing social behaviors his people lacked, such as displaying care for the sick and elderly. And despite having obvious physical differences in their varied skin tones and hair types, they cooperated and lived together in densely packed communities rather than segregating themselves. It was all so different from the cold, uniform Zetian way. Thrak's curiosity and doubts grew. He had to know more about this unusual species firsthand. After much consideration, he decided to take a risk and covertly visit the planet's surface to observe the humans up close. This went against protocol, but he reasoned the potential knowledge gained was worth it. Taking a small, unmarked shuttle pod, Thrak descended to the vibrant blue world the humans called home. He landed in one of their sprawling urban settlements and donned a voluminous cloak to conceal his alien features before venturing out. Slithering through the crowds, Thrak expected the humans to panic or flee at the sight of a 7-foot-tall Zedian in their midst. Instead, they smiled and called out happily upon seeing him, wishing him a good day. Many even asked to take images with him, complimenting the impressive costume he wore. Thrak was astounded. Here was a species showing no fear or hostility, even when encountering a complete unknown. Venturing further into the depths of their stone and glass cities, Thrak uncovered even more revelations about humanity. All manner of humans, regardless of size, strength, or other variations, worked, lived, and socialized together in harmony. Despite lacking sharp claws, dense muscle, or other offensive biological advantages, their phenomenal tool-making ability allowed them to adapt their environment to suit their needs rather than impose themselves by force. Everywhere he looked, Thrak saw diversity and wonder: medicine, engineering, music, philosophy, cuisine. Their depth of creativity and range of self-expression far exceeded anything found in Stoic Zedian culture. Thrak knew then that humanity represented something marvelous and precious, unlike anything the Zadians had yet encountered. How wrong they had been about these people. Shaken, but enlightened, Thrak made his way back to his hidden shuttle, mind swirling with radical new perspectives on humans and his own cold, rigid people. There was much about both their species he would need to rethink after this revelation. Absolutely preposterous. I will not stand here and listen to such absurd claims any longer, bellowed Zetha, High Commander of the Zedian Planetary Expedition Fleet. Thrak had just finished briefing the High Command on his unauthorized findings about the true depth and nobility of human nature. He had hoped presenting the evidence firsthand would make them understand how profoundly they had misjudged this species. Instead, He was met with scorn and staunch denial from all but his most open-minded comrades. Need I remind you that your duty was to observe the humans remotely, Thrak? Zetha continued, rising from her throne in anger. Not to illegally intervene and interact with them. The other commanders rumbled their disapproval, but Thrak stood firm. With respect, High Commander, after encountering the humans in person, I believe their sentience and adaptability matches or may even exceed our own. We cannot view them as mere primitive subjects for study. Zetha's long neck flushed crimson in fury, contrasting with her bright uniform. You forget your place, Commander. These humans are an inferior breed, little better than breeding stock once the conquest begins. Thrak recoiled in shock, the room falling deathly silent. Conquest, High Commander? I do not understand what you imply. Though suddenly, dark realizations began to dawn in Thrak's mind. Zetha scoffed. It seems there are many things your naive, sentimental mind cannot grasp. Allow me to elucidate. She began to pace, tentacles swirling menacingly. The humans were quarantined and studied using long-range technologies for a reason, to evaluate their potential for domestication, not cultural exchange. We interbred and engineered them over many millennia to make them pliable, foolish creatures fit for experimentation, labor, and subjugation after our arrival. Thrak's blood turned to ice in his veins as the monstrous truth became clear. Zetha paused and fixed him with a razor stare. Do not be taken in by their tricks, Thrak. They appear advanced, but in truth, humans are beasts we crafted, and beasts they shall remain once we conquer their world. Rage boiled up in Thrak, hot and visceral. No! Your beliefs about them are wrong. Their spirit, creativity, and nobility far exceed what any beings could artificially design or restrain. The room fell into an uneasy hush, all eyes locked on Thrak. Zetha's voice dropped to a deathly whisper. Commander Thrak, for spreading such treasonous dissent and failing your mission, you are hereby stripped of rank and sentenced to waste disposal duty. As guards moved to seize him, Thrak wrenched his arms free. With slow deliberation, he removed his ceremonial badges and insignia, tossing them contemptuously at Zetha's feet. When he spoke, his words rang with conviction. I no longer wish any part in serving your corrupt regime built on lies and cruelty. With that, Thrak pivoted sharply and marched toward the doors, his back straight and head held high. The stunned silence permeated the hall in his wake, but Thrak did not look back. There was much to be done now, and little time to waste. Thrak hurried to the shuttle bay, rage and shame burning within him. How could his people be so blindly malicious? He had to make things right somehow. Entering an inconspicuous transport pod, he descended swiftly back to the human city where they had first met. Thrak searched until he found the individual who had delivered the original message. They seemed unsurprised to see Thrak again. Greetings, friend, Thrak said solemnly. I must apologize on behalf of all Zedians for our foolish ignorance of your people's worth. Please, teach me more of your cultures so I may begin to make amends. The human smiled kindly, placing a small hand on Thrak's arm. You are always welcome here. Come, let us talk and break bread in friendship. Thrak spent many cycles amongst the humans, learning of their diverse cultures and customs. They accepted him with open arms, impressed by his courage denouncing his own leaders. Through conversation, Thrak gained deeper understanding of humanity's compassion and saw firsthand the thriving communities they built through cooperation. In turn, he cautiously revealed the Zedians' dark designs for conquest and human enslavement. Though initially shocked, the humans appreciated Thrak's honesty and vowed to prevent such cruelty from befalling their people. Great minds gathered from all nations to form plans and alliances against the threat looming in the skies above. Thrak joined their efforts, providing strategic insights on Zedian fleet operations and weaknesses. Engineers developed advanced new technologies inspired by his knowledge, while soldiers and civilians underwent training programs designed by Thrak to counteract brutal Zetian tactics. Arts and media bolstered morale, bringing people together. When the Zedians finally descended from orbit, Wielding blistering weapons and battlecraft against the unified human armies, they found themselves utterly outmatched. Thrak's inside information allowed humans to hack Zedian systems and communications, sabotaging their advantages. Together, humans and the rogue Thrak outfought and encircled the Zedian invasion forces, capturing the High Command. Thrak confronted Zetha as she was led to the detention cells, defeated but still defiant. "You are a fool and traitor, Thrak. These vermin have made you weak." Thrak gazed at her with quiet pity. "No, Zetha, they have made me stronger than you could ever imagine." Turning away from his former leader, Thrak looked out across the city where humans of all kinds now celebrated arm in arm, joyful and free. This was true strength. From then on, Earth and Zet would progress as allies, not enemies. With enough understanding, even the deepest divides between species can be bridged. In the cycles following the failed Zedian invasion, Commander Thrak became a permanent ambassador living among the humans. He helped establish formal diplomatic relations between their two peoples, serving as a bridge between humanity and the more cooperative Zedian factions willing to reject old prejudices. Through Thrak's efforts, Earth took its first fledgling steps onto the galactic stage. Humans lent their unique insight and creativity to interplanetary challenges, while learning much from other advanced civilizations. Over time, they became valued partners in an ever-growing alliance of worlds. Yet Thrak never stopped reminding both Zedians and humans of the precarious roots binding their futures together. "Do not forget how close we came to tragedy born of ignorance," he often cautioned. "It takes constant vigilance and understanding to prevent such mistakes from recurrence." To maintain perspective, he organized frequent cultural exchanges where the youth of both peoples could meet and interact in hope of shaping more tolerant generations. Seeing humans and Zetians learning and laughing together filled Thrak with hope. When faced with occasional tensions or conflicts between their species, Thrak drew on his unique insights into both cultures to find resolutions. "Reasonable discussion between parties of good faith can overcome almost any divide," he told them, "so long as we remain willing to listen and understand." In lighter moments, Thrak entertained eager audiences with tales of his past adventures, bridging the gap between human and Zedian civilizations. The children always begged him to describe his incredible stand against the High Command after that first forbidden journey to Earth. Retelling the memories served as a lesson to them, and a reminder to Thrak of how individuals can change worlds under the right circumstances. Yet, for all his accomplishments, the humble Thrak asked for no praise or privileges. "I need no honors for doing what is right," he said simply. In old age, having ensured the lasting bonds between his peoples, Thrak passed his ambassadorship on to his broodling, who carried forth his work into the generations beyond. The story of Thrak's courage left a deep and lasting impact on human and Zadian culture alike. He became a symbol of interspecies compassion, honored in art, literature, and song. When Thrak finally passed away at a venerable age, surrounded by his extensive interstellar family, both civilizations mourned his loss and celebrated his legacy. The wisdom Thrak imparted lived on in those he touched. By opening their hearts and minds to each other, honoring differences but cherishing common hopes, humans and Zedians built a lasting fraternity between their worlds. They progressed and prospered together, enriching their cultures as years stretched into centuries of fellowship. Of course, there were always new worlds and species to meet. Thrak's courageous example continued lighting the way as emissaries reached out across the stars, seeking new friends among the manifold life still left to discover. And so, thanks to the actions of one who dared imagine a brighter future, humanity took its humble place in a growing community of worlds. Their future shone bright with hope and possibility, so long as they maintained the spirit embodied by the noble Zedian who once called both Earth and Zet home. Where open communication flows, no distance is too far to cross. The end.